Okay, we're going to be looking at formatting of correct answers. So as you go through these quizzes, sometimes you'll notice that it'll look like you put a correct answer in, but it may not be the case. So we're going to quickly take a look at this this view of a test that's already been written, and we're going to go over some of the common beliefs where you think you've got a right answer but you haven't. So look at this, right off the bat, great, 2 right answers. This one here, there's nothing wrong with the way they put the answer in, it's just the incorrect answer. Now, these brackets doesn't mean that you, next time you answer it, that you put that number in brackets. It's just, these brackets are here just to show you, to differentiate that these brackets are saying that this is an answer. So the next time you answer it, you would actually just write the value or whatever number it would be. And in this case, they're going from factor to the standard. They're using like a distributive property, sometimes called the rainbow method. They're looking for, in this case, b of x plus c. It says coefficient. It kind of means constant c. This question is asking for what is c. Okay, so let's go over. Here's another one. Great, they've got another answer right, another answer right. This one, again, here's incorrect. So they haven't done anything wrong. This has been written in, the formatting is correct, but the answer, as you can see, is wrong. Their values are very, very different here. And this one's correct. Great, so we haven't had any formatting issues yet. Let's finally get into the third set here. Correct again, great. Here we go. So, this question says, find the factored form of this equation, okay? So when you factor this, this is wonderful, except that the question says the first bracket is blank. What would the first bracket be? So in factored form, you have a first bracket, okay, and a second bracket. Now, in the answer here, it looks a bit confusing. What it's doing is it's giving you options. The first bracket could be x minus 6, or that comma represents it could be x plus 4. It wouldn't be both of them. And what's happened here is this individual has put both of them as an answer. And again, you'll see they've given you both of the answers. So the answer should be either like x minus 6, x plus 4, or the opposite could be x plus 4, x minus 6, those work. But in this case, the person has written, okay, so I'm going to put it in red to show that would be technically incorrect. They've said in the first bracket there is x minus 6, and then they have a comma. Let's say that comma's not even there. X plus 4, that's the first bracket, and then the second bracket has the same thing. Well, when you go to distribute that back, it is not going to be a quadratic. The distributive property, you do this, and then you'd get, 3 values here. This one would also have 3 values here, and then you'd have to do the rainbow property for all of those. And you'd have an extremely long answer. So, if you put both of these in here, this is technically not a correct answer either. It's just looking for one of them. So, be aware that this comma, I'm going to erase it so you can see it. This comma here is just separating potential answers, okay? And again, this extra set of brackets, it's not needed. It's just there so that the computer can differentiate these are answers. Anything I put in brackets are potential answers, but you wouldn't put a second set of brackets around. That would be an inefficient answer. And you can see this has happened again. Here, change this standard form of quadratic from standard to factored. Wonderful. Here, they've written it twice. That comma is only representing potential answers. You could have had h plus 4, h minus 6, or you could have had it in the reverse order. So the computer is telling you it accepts this as an answer or this as an answer. But both of them together is not a correct answer. You end up in this scenario again, and it's a very, very long quartic or power of 5 question. So these aren't actually right answers here. Okay? Now, it's obvious that this individual's probably written the test once before, and they saw these, so they figured they had to provide both of them, but that's not really showing that you understand what's going on here. You wouldn't put both of those in there. You'd only put either this set or this set as an answer, okay? As you can see here, again, p minus 10 times p minus 10, that is a potential answer. Or, that's what that comma means here, so this comma is an or p minus 10 to the power of 2, which is commonly, kind of looks like this, but it's good that they understand that the power of 2 is written with this little shift 6 icon. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but that would be a potential answer, but not both. You don't put them both together because this essentially means multiply by, and when, again, if you multiply them, you end up in this scenario of multiple terms within your brackets. Okay, so though it's believed many students will write something, go, oh, I've got the exact right answer, those aren't correct answer. You have far too many sets of brackets in here, and that does not make a quadratic when you're going from standard to factored form or vice versa. Okay, so let's quickly take a look at the next ones here. And it looks like it's the same thing over and over again. In fact, in this one here, this comma, that represents an or, so there's one set of answers. Here's the first set, here's the second set. Either of those work. Both of them together ends up being like a multiplication, super long values. Here, in fact, this computer was accepting 4 different types of answers. And here, this as if you apply distributive property, we're talking maybe like 8, 9, 10 different terms. Not 3 terms. Our quadratics deal with 3 terms. So, again, it's common to write this answer in, look at the computer's answers and say, hey, those are the same, but the computer is only asking for specific parts. And again, those extra brackets on the outside, you do not need those. Okay, so I'm going to quickly take a look through here, and it looks like they've done the same thing over again, again, and again. So none of these are technically right answers because if you run these through distributive property, they do not come back to the standard form of these quadratics. It's important that you understand this. So I'm just going to reiterate. These are not factored forms of the standard shown because this would be like a 4-term polynomial. And we don't want you to get confused. It shows that you don't quite understand it, that what you've done is looked at an answer because you've gone through the test once before and realized, oh, this is what the computer's giving me the answer, so I'm just going to write that down. That doesn't show me that you actually understand changing this 3-termed polynomial, which is known as a quadratic, from standard to factored form. And finally, let's take a look at the last page. And it's the very same error again. So a very common thing, and I want all students to be aware of this, that if you go through this, just be aware that what the computer is looking for is one of those answers. So attempt it again, and the whole purpose of writing quizzes and tests this way is for reattempts, because the more you reattempt something, you're practicing it more, you're getting more practice at it, and hopefully more understanding of it. Okay, so I hope this helps clarify. So the computer's actually marked these all correct. None of these are correct answers. Okay, so just be aware of that. If you have any questions about this, please get back to me. I know the formatting can sometimes be a little tricky, but once you've learned this, it'll be very helpful for the rest of the course that things are written that way. And again, this, when put through distributive property, does not equal that. It's very important that you understand that, because what this shows me is that you're not quite sure how to take this standard form into factored form.